Today we'll be talking about a multi-class build that's near and dear to me, a tanking and damage build that merges two classes that don't traditionally fit together, the Barbarian and the Warlock. Structurally, this plays like a Barbarian, but Barbarians don't get much in the way of damage or utility increases beyond level 5, so we'll hopefully address that while making a character that feels cohesive and new. We are mixing one of two subclasses from Barbarian, the Zealot or the Ancestral Guardian, with one of two subclasses from Warlock, the Celestial Warlock or the Undead Warlock. Thematically, the Zealot and the Ancestral Guardian clearly have a celestial power source that would match your Celestial Warlock. Alternatively, both Barbarian subclasses have a fascination with death. For instance, your Undead Warlock patron might be one of your ancestors, who appears when you use your Ancestral Protectors feature. Broadly, the Ancestral Guardian plus Celestial Warlock is the good guy tank build, and the Zealot Barbarian plus Undead Warlock is the bad boy damage build. But in both cases, we'll be relying upon Gish the Ever-Living One, a chain-packed Warlock invocation, to make the two classes synergize better. As a build using two or more classes, this build doesn't really distinguish itself from a regular Barbarian until level 8 or 9, but part of my goal in making builds is that they feel fun and effective from the start. In this case, that will just be because we're mostly a Barbarian. For our race, there are a few options. Technically, taking Variant Human, to get the Polearm Master feat early, would help things a lot, but we would end up with a pretty low charisma, only 13 rather than 14. So I'd just as soon go for a more interesting race that will help our survivability or mobility. Goliath works well, with Stone's Endurance helping to make up for our average constitution of 14. Asmar also fits the theme closely, and Radiant Soul is a fantastic once-per-day ability. However, today I'm going to take a bit of a weirder race, and we're going to go with the Dhampir. As you'll find out in this channel, I love the three lineages from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, because they allow you to make a solid mechanical build while picking any race you want prior to gaining your lineage. Since we are taking this lineage at character creation, we would not get to keep any of the movement speed methods of our former race. I'm going to pick Drow as my background, a race I very rarely use, and put the Dhampir lineage on top of it. I am in no way making D&D Blade. Not at all. Okay, maybe a little bit. Our Dhampir Drow has plus 5 movement speed, 2 extra skills, doesn't need to breathe, has dark vision, and by 3rd level will be able to run across ceilings to bypass puzzles and tank monsters. We can also bite our foes and display of bestial fury. Who doesn't love that? For skills, we'll take Athletics and Perception from the Barbarian list. We'll grab Intimidation at level 3 with the Tasha's feature Primal Knowledge, if that's available, to make use of our alright Charisma score. And to make things a little different, we'll take the Noble background, as our lust for blood, which enabled our barbaric nature, wasn't always a part of us. In fact, we have many storied ancestors of noble drow lineage. This gives us history and persuasion, but from Dhampir we can still pick 2 more skills, so we'll grab Stealth and Deception in case we take Mask of Many Faces later. For our first 5 levels, we're a Barbarian. You might want to take Warlock 1 at level 2, just so you can start talking to your patron and use some cantrips, but that does delay extra attack by a level. This is mostly a story choice. Our starting stats will be 16 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 14 Charisma, 9 Wisdom, and 8 Intelligence. At level 3, we'll choose between Zealot Barbarian and Ancestral Guardian. Do we need to be the party's tank? Ancestral Guardian has your back. Do you just want to hit stuff really hard? Zealot is for you. Either way, we are gaining access to a divine power source, one that, perhaps due to our vampiric nature, we could not access as a cleric or a paladin. No, ours is a more reckless divine path, channeling the might of our patron into our strikes, or calling on our ancestors, perhaps those drow who fought against Lulth, or our vampiric sire, to help us in battle. Either way, we're connected to the divine in a unique way. For this example, we'll go Ancestral Guardian. At level 4, we've got a choice to make. Plus 2 strength isn't bad, but ideally we'll grab Great Weapon Master or Polearm Master. While having the option to take a -5 penalty to attack for a plus 10 boost to damage is powerful, my example character is going to take Polearm Master. Having a bonus action attack that gains the plus 2 damage bonus from Rage, as well as the reaction attack, is all to the good, but especially because as an Ancestral Guardian, we want to tag our big boss and then invite him over to attack us, and doing that from 10 feet away, using polearms with reach, gives us an opportunity to challenge our foe, then invite him to duel us as our ancestors look on. This is both cool and a surprisingly effective method of tanking, which avoids most enemies' attacks of opportunity. At level 5, we gain extra attack, as well as plus 10 to movement speed, putting our movement at a respectable 45, with the ability to run along walls and ceilings to chase our foes. With a second attack and a newly increased proficiency modifier, plus 3, we have a bit more incentive to use our vampiric bite attack. But since it doesn't gain the rage damage bonus or have reach, we're as likely to drink from our allies for the bonus to a skill check as anything else. Still, if you are low on health, it never hurts to have a small backup heal. Okay, here's where things get interesting. The level 6 feature for both Ancestral Guardian and Zealot Barbarians are both excellent, giving you badly needed saving throw rerolls on the Zealot, and a reaction-based damage reduction power Spirit Shield from the Ancestral Guardian. We also get a 4th Rage per day, which will come in handy. Barbarian level 7 has a fine feature, Advantage on Initiative, but if you're using the optional rules in Tasha's, you also get an additional feature, Instinctive Pounce, which allows for another 20 feet of move speed on the turn you rage. Given that we have a climb speed, and we can run on ceilings, covering 65 feet of movement before we attack would be great. However, while Barbarians 6, 7, and 8 are fun features and we'll get them later, I suggest starting Warlock here instead. We want to get this multi-class underway before too long, and this way we can take a feat at level 9 only one level behind. So Barbarian 5 Warlock 1 means we need to pick between Undead Warlock and Celestial Warlock. As my Dhampir is evolving into a kind of Blade/Angel from Buffy redemption arc, I'll take the Celestial Warlock. As an angelic being, let's say a Planetar, has noticed that our Dhampir hero has been inadvertently siphoning his power in these divine attacks, and binds us to a pact to repay our debt. A debt of owed power, or perhaps atonement for any wrongs we committed in our bloody thirst. Will this Planetar restore us to our drow self someday? Maybe so. In the meantime, we pick up the Light and Sacred Flame cantrips, as well as some utility cantrips like Mage Hand and Minor Illusion. Our spells to start with will be Cure Wounds. This short rest self-heal along with our Healing Light dice will help make up for our slightly lower hit points gained per level, and Expeditious Retreat. Sure, this spell only works outside of rage, but adding 45 feet of movement speed for 10 minutes while running along ceilings and walls will have uses. At Warlock 2, we'll grab the Hex spell. If we aren't raging, it fits well with our 3 attacks from Polearm Master, and 2 invocations. Depending on how your GM rules illusions, I recommend Mask of Many Faces or Misty Visions for a host of utility reasons, and being able to magically disguise ourselves does have a very vampiric feel. However, one of those 2 invocations will be traded out at Warlock 3, where the build really comes together. We're a Barbarian 5 Warlock 3. We're taking on Armor of Agathis, and more importantly, it's time to take our pact to the Chainmaster. Yes, our Celestial Patron, or our Undead one, has gifted us an Imp, Quasit, Pseudo-Dragon, or Sprite. I encourage you to ask your GM to reflavor the always invisible Imp or Sprite in keeping with your Celestial or Undead Patron, but a Quasit disguise as a bird or a high-flying Pseudo-Dragon are all fine. This is because we won't be using our familiar for the health action. They're far too valuable as long distance, within 100 feet, providers of the Gift of the Ever-Living One, an invocation from Xanathars that's at the heart of the build. With this humble invocation, anytime we gain health and dice are rolled, we gain the maximum amount. Suddenly our lost 2 hit points per level are more than worth it, as our Healing Light bonus action Heal, which can be used while raging, our Cure Wounds spell, our d12 hit dice, and our allies' heals onto us all heal for the maximum amount possible on the die. If your party has no other healers, this is a bit less useful, but it still allows the Healing Light dice to more than keep up with our slightly reduced hit points, and keeps us solidly on track as long as we take Warlock levels to survive like a Barbarian, even though we are a Warlock. From here, we'll take Warlock 4 and take Great Weapon Master to mix with Reckless Attack. At this point, you should consider how far into Warlock you want to go. At Warlock 5, you gain access to Counterspell, Thunderstep, Revivify, Fly, maybe less important for our Dhampir, but still, the hilariously thematic Gaseous Form, also Tomb of Levistus, an invocation that adds 10 HP per Warlock level, 50 to start, in case we are in imminent danger. It's just another good survivability power. Undead Warlocks will want to head straight for Warlock 6. A Zealot Barbarian 5 Undead Warlock 6 gets a sizable damage bonus from their Grave Touched feature at level 11 this way, nicely keeping pace with other classes who get a third attack or a damage bump at level 11. Not to mention the temporary hit points that keep increasing from Form of Dread, making up for the lack of healing spells. This is why I think the Undead Warlock works just as well for this build, provided your party has healers. As for my Dhampir Drow hero, with the heart of the build online at Barbarian 5 Warlock 3, I'm going to take Warlock 4 and Warlock 5 to pick up Tomb of Levistus, Fly, and either Counterspell or Revivify. Your party will have opinions on that particular choice. And then Barbarian 6, 7, and 8, putting me almost back on track with 18 Strength by level 13. From there, I'm going to take 4 levels of Battle Master Fighter to gain 20 Strength at level 17, while adding Action Surge and crucial maneuvers like Precision Attack and Riposte that won't complicate my already overstuffed action economy. I'll finish up with Barbarian 9, 10, and 11, with Relentless Rage serving as my capstone at 20. Alternatively, if you're looking for more of a Gish, there's a great argument to skip Barbarian 7 and 8 and take the Celestial Warlock all the way to level 14, making the casting of Force Cage and the Celestial Warlock's level 14 feature Searing Vengeance as your equivalent capstone, all the while increasing your use of rage-friendly healing light dice. This is particularly sensible if you need someone in your party to be able to cast Revivify or heal. The reason I didn't go this far into Warlock in my build is because in terms of player experience, I want to keep getting good, useful, fighting-friendly features each level if possible, and taking Fighter 4 from level 14 to 17 lets me do that, getting a powerful new feature, Maneuvers, at level 16 just as other classes are getting their most powerful features. For a last note on the Zealot Undead Warlock parallel build we've been discussing, remember to take the invocation Sculptor of Flesh at Warlock 7 as soon as possible, since you already want Warlock 6. This is not to cast on others, but as another survivability failsafe. If your health gets too low, end your rage with your bonus action, and then cast Polymorph on yourself into a giant ape. You'll have 157 more hit points, and the same amount of intelligence, ironically, to fight with next turn, and proficiency in Constitution saving throws to help you make the concentration checks. Along with Tomb of Levistus, this helps keep Undead Warlocks in the survivability game. I should mention, yes, Rage prevents spell casting. However, it does not prevent the use of Healing Light, which is not a spell, nor does it disable existing spells like Mirror Image or Armor of Agathis that you can cast in the first round of combat as you approach your enemies. Expeditious Retreat is for those times when you really need more speed, Rage notwithstanding, and Cure Wounds is for recovery after you fight or to pick up a fallen ally. I argue that despite the casting and concentration limitation, Barbarians and Warlocks synergize better than people think. In closing, I hope you enjoyed my definitely not played Barbarian Warlock off on her Dhampir Redemption adventure. Do you have a favorite split class that isn't just a dip? Any builds you'd like to see me try next? Do you think Barbarians and Warlocks, like star-crossed lovers, should never be together? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, watch out for pit traps.